In Ukraine, President Zelenskyy says he is ready to discuss neutrality ahead of talks with Russia tomorrow. Ukrainian intelligence believes Russia may try to split Ukraine in two, similar to North and South Korea. Meanwhile, President Zelenskyy says Kyiv could declare a neutral stance and end its bid to join NATO, but he stresses this would hinge on a national referendum that would only be held after Russian troops left the country. Despite diplomatic talks resuming Tuesday in Istanbul, the fighting across many Ukrainian cities continues. The mayor of Mariupol is calling for a complete evacuation of the city, warning of an impending humanitarian catastrophe. Up to 160,000 civilians remain in the city, largely without food and water. But officials say they will not attempt to evacuate people today because of intelligence reports of possible provocations from Russian forces. Meanwhile, the Kremlin says it is concerned about remarks made by President Biden about Russian President Putin. The U.S. leader had this to say about Putin during a speech in Poland over the weekend.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refused to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Joining me now from Latvia is CBS News reporter Mary Ilyushina. Hi, Mary. Great to see you. So Ukraine's military intelligence says President Putin could be looking to cut Ukraine into two, rather like North and South Korea. President Zelenskyy says Ukraine may be willing to compromise on the Donbas region. Did the Russian army signal any shifts to its goals towards just focusing on Donbas?
Yes, indeed. They've sent some signals that they might be willing to recalibrate their targets and goals. We've heard them basically sum up the 1 month since the invasion has started, and they said that the first stage, in their words, has been mainly achieved, but they're not excluding the possibility of storming places like Kyiv and Kharkiv and some other cities, but that's not necessarily their primary thing, which we know these cities are located much further than the Donbas area in the east, so this is more of central Ukraine that we're talking about here, and they've signaled that their primary goal is what they call liberation of Donbas, which is controlled by separatists who are looking to expand their power and their sort of control over the entire Donetsk and Luhansk regions. But, we'll have to obviously see whether this goal will remain this primary goal. And I think a lot of it will depend on how successful the Russian army is. But so far, they have been stalling on several directions of this attack.
So an independent Russian newspaper that is critical of the Kremlin suspended its publication today after warnings from a Russian media regulator. Yesterday, the regulator also warned the newspaper against publishing an interview with President Zelenskyy. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's going on there?
Yeah, it's a really dark time for any kind of independent or critical reporting in Russia. Novaya Gazeta basically was given 2 warnings for allegedly not labeling the foreign agent in one of their pieces, and 2 of these warnings can lead to their license being revoked, which means they cannot legally operate in Russia anymore. They have been trying to avoid and sort of trying to still work within Russia, even under what, for a lot of journalists is clear as a wartime censorship, where you cannot really call that war as a war. It's a special operation, and they had to sort of edit their text to keep publishing at least something about this war, and so the Russians can actually read it. But they no longer can do that because they think any sort of next thing that they do might potentially see them done forever. And with the interview that Zelenskyy gave for the first time since the invasion started to Russian media, that was quite interesting because the Russian authorities basically said, told Russian media, including Novaya Gazeta, you cannot publish it. They usually give some sort of maybe arbitrary, but some sort of reason why this is against the Russian law, but they just straight up said you can publish it. And out of the 4 outlets that were at this interview, only one was able to publish it because they're operating from outside Russia. So we can clearly see that the Kremlin is trying to cleanse the entire field of independent reporting in Russia. And it's obviously very, very concerning just how Russians are going to be informed about what's going on.
Absolutely. So speaking of being informed by accurate reporting, Mary, you have some reporting from the hard-hit Ukrainian city of Chernihiv, which is basically surrounded by Russian forces. Ukrainian civilians there have been left without electricity, water, and gas. Can you tell us a little bit more about the state of the siege on this city?
It's really, really grim. Unfortunately, the scenes unfolding there are very reminiscent of what we're seeing in Mariupol, where people are left without food, without gas, without communication. We've reviewed videos and we talked to people who are helping people on the ground there in Chernihiv, that the situation is so dire that they have to, their volunteer groups have to go around the city and ask people to donate any kind of food they might have remaining in their basements, like some even old potatoes would do, and then they bring them to Central Volunteer Center where they cook the food and then give it out to people, try to sort of distribute it a little bit. And they have so many requests from people who are hungry and they don't have food and they don't have water and they cannot call for help anyone else but these volunteers who are remaining in the city. So we're seeing in more than one place in Ukraine the humanitarian disaster that is unfolding there is incredibly serious.
A very dire situation. Mary, really quickly before we let you go, do you have any reaction to that soundbite we played at the top of President Biden saying that President Putin cannot remain in power? What has been the reaction there from the areas you're reporting in?
Yeah, I'm sure. The Kremlin came out pretty quickly after this remark with a very restrained response. They said it is not up to President Biden whether Putin will remain in power, and that is up to the Russian people. But, they have sort of mocked some of the President Biden's statements before about Vladimir Putin. He called him, a criminal. And the Kremlin said that they just don't want to agitate Biden because they think because of his age, he's giving out all these remarks. So there have been some, unease within the Kremlin regarding these remarks from the U.S. president.
All right, Mary Ilyushina in Latvia, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.